Welcome to District Dialogues. My name is Marvin Arrington Jr., Fulton County Commissioner for District 5. District 5 encompasses the cities of Atlanta, South Fulton, East Point, Union City, and College Park. Some of the great landmarks in District 5 include Zoo Atlanta, the former Fort McPherson, which is now home to Tyler Perry's new movie studio, the Porsche headquarters, the Camp Creek Marketplace, and of course my favorite, the Wolf Creek Amphitheater. During this show, we hope to share information about organizations, initiatives, and resources in District 5 and Fulton County, and for areas that I champion. So let's get straight to it. I'm a proud member of the Justice and Public Safety Committee for the National Association of Counties, also known as NACO. In our Justice and Public Safety segment, we like to share information from partners that provide resources about justice and public safety. Please meet Helen Butler, Executive Director of the People's Agenda. So Ms. Butler, tell us, what is the People's Agenda and who founded it?
Well, the People's Agenda is a nonpartisan, nonprofit advocacy organization that was founded by Dr. Joseph Lowery. Our mission is to improve the quality of governance by getting people engaged in the political process. We mean registering to vote, becoming educated voters, and actually turning out and holding our elected officials accountable. We also do issue advocacy around education, the criminal justice system, the environment, and healthcare, and economic development. Those are the issues that are really important to our communities.
That's so good to hear. I grew up as a member of Dr. Lowery's church. What is on the agenda?
What is on the agenda are the issues that are important to the community, whether it's the transit referendum, whether it's education, making sure our children have quality education, whether it's economic development, having our share of contracts and business opportunities within the city and the county, and the state, because we're a statewide organization that covers all of the state.
Tell us some benefits to exercising our right to vote.
Well, exercising your right to vote, you get to choose who gets to represent you. You get great commissioners like Commissioner Arrington and others that will represent your issues, and you can hold them accountable. These are people that make sure you get the right services that benefit your community, whether you're a small business owner, whether you are a teacher, whether you are a student, just a citizen that are concerned about the quality of life in your community. You get to have a say in who represents you and what services come to your community.
And how can our viewers get more involved with the People's Agenda?
Well, you can join the People's Agenda. We meet each Tuesday from 12 noon until 2 at the SCLC Women Building on 328 Auburn Avenue. You can join us, come be a part of the conversation, get to meet other community activists, and get to know what's happening within the community. You'll be informed, you get to meet different people, you get to meet citizens that are just like you, that are concerned about your situation and your environment and what's important for your community.
Please tell us about any upcoming events that you might have.
Well, we work 365 to get people engaged in the political process. We have municipal elections coming up. We're getting ready for the census to make sure everyone gets counted, because the census really determines who your representatives are and how much money comes to your community. So we're gearing up for the municipal elections, and then we're getting ready for the presidential election that will be coming up right after the municipal elections are over.
How can our audience stay connected with the People's Agenda? Where can they go to find out more information?
You can go to our website called thepeoplesagenda.org and really get engaged with us. You can visit us at 501 Pulliam Street, Suite 410. That's our offices. You can call us at our number 404 653 1199. Just get engaged and be a part of the agenda and to make that difference.
Ms. Butler, thank you so much for the work that you do for our community and for joining me on the show today. We will be right back with our D5 Spotlight. Stay with us. Welcome back. In our D5 Spotlight, we recognize organizations and or individuals who are striving to empower our county and our communities. Our next guest is Mr. Patrick Phillips, author, educator, and social worker of The Change Agent. Welcome to the show, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you for having me, Commissioner Arrington. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
So tell us, Mr. Phillips, what is The Change Agent and what are your areas of focus?
That's a good question. Do you want the short version or the long version? But basically, my background is in education, and I have degrees in social work. And when I first started to do my work in the community, I was trying to think of a name that represented who I was. And social workers are change agents by nature because we're looking for holistic development and growth with the people that we work with. So I was speaking with one of my friends, social workers, and I said, what should I call myself? I don't want to call myself a motivator and things like that. So we said, social workers are change agents. Why don't you be Mr. Phillips, the change agent? That's how the name came about. And really with everything that I do, I'm looking for long-term change. I'm not just trying to motivate you for the temporary moment, but I'm looking to see that lifetime and that long-term change.
What advice would you give to parents and high school students who are preparing for college?
And Commissioner Arrington, that's a great question because at this time of the year, many parents are actually preparing their kids for post-secondary education. The first thing that I would say that I think there's a really big misconception that there's a college or bust. And there's different post-secondary options for students that they might want to consider, which is technical colleges and then also state colleges and universities. And sometimes we have a tendency to say that, oh, if you're not going to a university, then you're not going to college. And I think we need to try to match what individuals are interested in, whether that's a trade or a skill, or to figure out if they actually want to go to the university level. So I would say that's one of the things that I would recommend. One of the second things I would always talk about is fit. Are you choosing the right college for the right reason? Sometimes you see a lot of students choose a college because, oh, they had a great dorm, or they had a great college visit, or they have a great sports team. But you need to consider things like, what are my needs as a student? And that may include, hey, if you know you're not the most responsible student, you may not need to go to a school where you're going to be in a classroom with 300 other students. You might want a smaller environment. You want to look at things like cost of attendance. Because in my opinion, and I talk about this in my book, The Intentional Student, it's not about just getting a degree. Really, the name of the game to me is to get a degree with as less debt as possible, because that's when you're really winning the game. I guess one of the third things that I would recommend is don't spend so much energy on getting into college. Really try to focus your energy on what does it take to stay when you get there. I see too many students actually get into various colleges and universities, and then within the first semester or two, now they're academically ineligible because they didn't do the things that they needed to do to be successful at those institutions. So I hope that Commissioner Arrington, there's a couple of facts, and for more information, they can always visit my YouTube channel. I have lots of different videos for young people and also parents to give them additional information about making those type of decisions.
Please let our viewing audience know about how you and your son Jameson became authors.
Oh, that's a very interesting one, story, Commissioner Arrington. And it initially started, I've written 5 books myself. And my son saw me writing books, and he always said that he was interested in doing a book, but I didn't really take him serious. And we were actually visiting Ponce City Market, and we were riding our bicycles on the trail right behind Ponce City Market, and we passed Old Fourth Ward Skate Park. And it's a very large skate park, and you see a lot of great skaters out there. And of course, we were just amazed at what these skaters were able to do out there, and we went over to watch them. And my son looked at me and he said, "Dad, I want to skate." And I laughed and I looked because I said to myself, I've never skated in my life, and this is what you want to do. And to make a long story short, we went out, I bought skateboards, helmets, knee guards, elbow guards, wrist guards, and we went out and we started skating, and we just kept falling and getting hurt. And my son wanted to quit. And initially I was like, yes, we can stop this skateboarding. But then I thought about what type of precedents could I be setting if I allowed my son to quit, even if it was just something as simple as skateboarding. So we persevered, and now we skate miles. And we wrote our first book, The Adventures of Little Jam, the Skate Park, which is about a father and a son story, but then also it's about a story of perseverance and grit and not giving up when you face obstacles. And when my son wrote that first book, he's had a chance to read it at different schools and things like that. And about a month after his first book was out, he came home and said, Dad, I'm ready to write the next book about the planets. And I'm glad to say he just released his third book, The Adventures of Little Jam, The Amazing Dinosaurs. And he's had a chance to go to different schools and read his books. And I think it's exciting for a couple of reasons, because it gives us an opportunity to bond. But I think it's very important for children of color to see representation in the books that they read.
Okay. If you will, share with our audience any new projects that you and or your son might be working on.
Commissioner Arrington, that's a great question. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm partnering with the YMCA, and then I'm also partnering with the Atlanta Library System, in which we're doing a couple of different workshops and seminars. One of them is going to be for parents, and then raising single mothers raising sons, and then we're also doing a series of workshops around literacy that my son will be reading his books and different things like that. I'm also partnering with a bookstore that's called the Hugh Bookstore, in which we're going to start trying to go into schools and allow children to see Black authors and authors of color, but then also to try to work on that literacy piece, because representation is such a big part of students being able to have high literacy levels, because we understand that literacy levels equate to success later in school and then possibly even later in life. So it's very important to get kids to be reading on grade level at an early age.
All right, so now, how can our audience stay connected with the Change Agent and all the great work that you guys are doing?
Most definitely. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Mr. Phillips, The Change Agent. That's M.R. Phillips, Phillips, The Change Agent, or Mr. Phillips, thechangeagent.com.
Thanks for joining us today. Stay with us, everyone. We have a special guest in our art segment. Come on back. I am the proud executive sponsor of Arts and Culture for Fulton County. Additionally, I serve as the Vice Chair of the Atlanta-Fulton County Recreation Authority and a member of the Arts Commission for the National Association of Counties, or NACO. In our art segment, I like to highlight arts and culture organizations and programs in Fulton County. Today, please meet Mr. Dan Moore, President and founder of the Apex Museum. Welcome to the show, Dan.
It's a very good pleasure to be here.
All right, so please tell our audience, what does APEX stand for?
The APEX is an acronym. It's African American Panoramic Experience.
How was the Apex Museum birthed?
Well, the Apex Museum started in 1978, and I'm not a museum person at all. But I came to Atlanta in 1974 from Philadelphia to start my second film company, and I was invited by someone to a banquet where they were honoring Dr. Benjamin Mays. As I sat there in my seat and listened to all the accolades given to Dr. Mays, I wondered to myself, why doesn't Atlanta, of all the cities in the nation, not have a Black History Museum? And so 4 months later, we had one.
Tell us, what milestones are you currently celebrating?
Last year, we celebrated our 40th anniversary, and we have been in Atlanta for 40 years, and we have touched many lives of young people, of children, of students, of visitors, and many international visitors who have come to visit the Apex.
Happy 40th anniversary, Dan. The legacy that you and your family are leaving through the Apex Museum is absolutely outstanding. Tell us how you'll be celebrating this wonderful 40th anniversary?
We had our celebration last August, and we celebrated at the Auburn Avenue Research Library right next door to us. And Ms. Susan Taylor was the keynote speaker, former editor of Essence magazine, and it was a tremendous event, and we kicked off a campaign to raise $40,000 to celebrate our 40 years here in Atlanta.
What do you attribute the Apex Museum's longevity to?
Well, I know I have a mission, and it goes beyond just having a museum with artifacts and photographs, but it's an institution that will help young people especially get a handle on who they are, where they came from, and what our ancestors did to pave the way for us. One of our exhibitions is called Africa, the Untold Story. It was inspired by Dr. Asa Hilliard, who said to one of us years ago, "Whatever you do, never let them begin our history with slavery." So we take you back to ancient African civilizations and let you look at and see and feel what Africa has contributed to world history. You're looking at architecture, you're looking at art, you're looking at culture, looking at health, looking at medicine, all these contributions from Africa, the continent that is our birthplace.
Now, how can we support the Apex Museum?
The Apex Museum is supported by donations, naturally. Our website is www.apexmuseum.org. We are also inviting people to come to visit us. We're located at 135 Auburn Avenue between Cortland and Piedmont. We're at the gateway to the M.L. King National Historic District.
And finally, please let our audience know how they can stay connected with the Apex Museum.
We have memberships to the Apex Museum. You can get on our mailing list and receive information from the Apex by joining our mailing list. We have a list of individuals who are members. We have members who are who stop by regularly to sign up for membership and also online. And that's the outreach we have and sending our newsletters to those who subscribe to our membership.
Thank you for coming on the show, Mr. Moore, and for all of the great arts and cultural legacy that you are leaving through your 40 years at the Apex Museum.
Commissioner Arrington, it was a pleasure being here.
When we come back, our Did You Know segment. Stay with us. As we close out today's show, we would like to tell you about our new Did You Know segment, where we will provide information about Fulton County services. Today, please meet Dr. Gabrielle Morley, Director of the Fulton County Library System, as he shares information about ClassPass at APS.
There's a very pressing problem in our country that doesn't get talked about enough, and that problem is illiteracy. In the state of Georgia, 66% of the third graders can't read on the third grade level. That's a disturbing number. At the Fulton County Libraries, we wanted to do something about that. We recently partnered with the Atlanta Public School System to develop the ClassPass. CLASS stands for Connecting Libraries and Schools for Success. Subsequently, we issued over 52,000 library cards to students in APS schools and employees. The ClassPass entitles students to all of the library's resources. The beautiful thing about the ClassPass is that we've eliminated all the barriers to access. Students have 24/7 access to databases, to study materials, to tutoring sessions. Everything the library has to offer on its web platform is available using the ClassPass. The ClassPass is also important because it helps students develop a lifelong habit of using the library. The library wants to be that trusted source when people need information. Students can access the library materials using ClassPass through My Backpack or through the library's website at www.afpls.org.
As we wrap up today's show, I'd like to invite you to stay connected with our office. You can reach us by phone, email, website, and through our social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for watching District Dialogues. We'll see you next time.